Hi, sweet soul. Welcome to tonight's sleep story. You're about to join Jessy the Glitter Cat on a magical glamping adventure filled with fairy lights, starry skies, cozy blankets, and quiet forest magic. But first, let's get your body and mind completely relaxed and ready for rest. Wherever you are, let your body settle. Let your arms rest down by your sides. Unclench your jaw and gently close your eyes. Now take a slow breath in, hold for a moment, and exhale all the tension out. Let's begin a gentle body scan together. You don't need to do anything. Just follow along and let Jessy guide you. Start by bringing your attention to the very top of your head. Imagine a soft glowing light like moonlight mixed with glitter spilling gently over your forehead, melting away any tightness behind your eyes, softening your temples, releasing your jaw and your cheeks. Let that warm glow move down your neck and across your shoulders. Feel your shoulders drop a little, maybe for the first time all day. Now that peaceful energy drifts down your arms, through your elbows, your wrists, all the way to the tips of your fingers. Your arms are completely relaxed. Let's bring that calm down into your chest. Imagine the breath moving like waves on a quiet lake. In and out, in and out. Each breath settles you deeper into the cozy stillness of this moment. Now the calm flows through your belly, down into your hips, releasing any heaviness or tension from the day. Let that soft glow continue down your thighs, your knees, your calves, and your ankles until it reaches your toes. Your whole body is now gently wrapped in warmth and calm, like you're tucked into the coziest blanket under a starlit sky. Let yourself rest here for just a few more peaceful breaths. And when you're ready, we'll begin our glamping adventure with Jessy. You're safe here. You're ready. Let's begin. Somewhere just beyond the edge of town, past the glow of porch lights and the hum of street traffic, Jessy the Glitter Cat was getting ready for the coziest, sparkliest night of her life. She wasn't just going camping. Oh no, she was going glamping. In her warm and whimsical craft-filled she cave, she padded across the floor with purpose, her tail swishing behind her like a velvet ribbon. Her sparkly overnight bag sat open on her bed, and she had a checklist scribbled in pink glitter pen on a sticky note shaped like a star. Let's see, she purred, tapping her chin with one paw. Fleece onesie with glow-in-the-dark moons, check. Squishy socks with glitter toes, check. Mini fan that smells like lavender and blows fairy dust into the air, definitely check. She paused to admire her favorite item, a little jar of sparkle cocoa mix. Just one scoop turned regular warm milk into a soft pink drink with floating shimmer and the taste of vanilla dreams. She carefully tucked it into her snack pouch, right next to her gourmet s'mores kit. Chocolate with edible stars, raspberry marshmallows, and graham crackers shaped like clouds. Then came the important extras: a cozy pink hoodie, a tiny book of bedtime stories, her pouch of moon crystals, a miniature succulent in case she needed a bit of nature on the go. Jessy zipped everything up with a satisfying zip. And took one last glance around her space. Her heart fluttered with anticipation. Outside, the sky was softening into that dreamy lavender blue shade that only appears at dusk, when the world begins to whisper that it's okay to slow down. She clicked on the string lights inside her glamping wagon, a polka-dotted camper she decorated herself, with rhinestones and craft decals that said things like "Live, Laugh, Lounge" and "Glitter or Bust." Her dashboard charm, a crescent moon with a tiny bell, jingled as she climbed in. The seats were covered in plush pastel cushions, and the air smelt faintly like eucalyptus and fresh stickers. As the wheels began to roll forward, Jessy took a deep breath. The city faded behind her, and ahead of her, the winding road glittered under the setting sun. She was headed to the Glitter Woods, a hidden little forest full of glowing mushrooms, whispering trees, and fireflies that danced like stars. That's where her glamp site waited, tucked between two tall willow trees and surrounded by stillness. With the windows down and the breeze tickling her whiskers, Jessy whispered to herself, "Tonight is going to be exactly what my heart needs." The wind gently kissed her fur as Jessy the Glitter Cat cruised along the winding road, heading deeper and deeper into the Glitter Woods. Her glamping wagon purred like a dream, its twinkle wheels spinning over mossy ground as if floating on magic itself. All around her, the forest shimmered with a kind of quiet that only existed far away from phone notifications and laundry piles. The trees stretched tall and gentle, their leaves glowing softly in blues, purples, and silvery greens, like someone painted them with moonlight and mist. Jessy cracked her window just a little and inhaled the crisp evening air. It smelt like pine needles, dewdrops, and a hint of marshmallow from the treats stashed in the back seat. As she drove, little magical things began to appear. A deer with galaxy spots calmly crossing the road, mushrooms lighting up like fairy porch lamps, fireflies swirling in slow motion, forming constellations in the air. A wooden sign with curly script that read, "Glamp site ahead, sparkle slowly." Jessy turned on her soft music playlist. It was full of dreamy lullabies, harp sounds, and one very dramatic Taylor Swift instrumental. The vibe, peaceful main character energy with a side of cozy glam. Her heart fluttered with excitement. She loved her alone time, but she wasn't going to be alone for long. Because guess what? Ivory, Reese, and Tom were making their way to the glamp site too. She could already picture it. Ivory breezing in with 3 overnight bags and 0 regrets. Reese arriving with a literal picnic charquet board and a cat-shaped basket. And Tom probably pretending this was not really his thing, while secretly triple-checking the sleeping pad he brought for Jessy just in case hers wasn't comfy enough. Jessy smiled. imagining how it would all play out. The laughter, the late night heart-to-hearts, the smell of toasted marshmallows, and a little tension in the air that no one talked about, but everyone felt. As the wagon rolled to a stop just outside her reserved campsite, Jessy stepped out and stretched. The trees around her swayed like they were welcoming her home. She looked around at the empty space, the twinkling forest lights, and the soft dirt path that would soon be full of paw prints and inside jokes. And with a deep, contented sigh, she whispered, "Let the glamping begin." Jessy had just finished fluffing her sleeping blanket and placing a glittery pine cone centerpiece on the fold-out picnic table when she heard it. Ding, ding, ding. The mistakable sound of Ivory's bicycle bell. Sure enough, bursting through the trees with a wild grin and oversized sunglasses was Ivory, tail swishing, oversized tote bags bouncing against her sides, and wearing a hoodie that said, "Too glam to give a damn." "Did someone say glamping?" she shouted, skidding to a stop and dramatically pulling out a full karaoke mic from her backpack. "I brought snacks, setting spray, and a speaker. We are not sleeping until we sing Since You've Been Gone Under the Stars." Jessy laughed. "I knew you'd show up extra." "Excuse me," Ivory said, digging into her bag. "I also brought this lavender pillow mist for sleep. I contain multitudes." A moment later, a soft humming sound echoed through the trees, like nature itself was playing lo-fi beats. Then, from the shadows emerged a sleek hammock, a soft boho rug, and a perfectly organized cooler full of ice herbal drinks. Reese had arrived. She floated in like some magical Pinterest board brought to life, wearing a knit shawl and carrying a lantern made out of stained glass. "Hi, loves," she purred, already arranging her snack display into a perfect spiral. Jessy and Ivory looked at each other like, how is she already perfect? "Don't mind me," Reese added calmly. "I brought crystal coasters and a rain stick. I thought it might help us reflect." Jessy beamed. Her heart felt so full, but not quite all the way. Someone was missing. And then, crunch, crunch, pause, crunch. From the opposite trail came the sound of hesitant paw steps. Like someone was debating whether or not to turn around and go home. And out walked Tom, dressed in a black flannel and jeans, looking like a lost lumberjack who accidentally wandered into a Lisa Frank commercial. His fur was slightly fluffed from the chilly air, and his expression, that signature mix of "I'm fine" and "please don't ask me how I'm doing or I will emotionally combust." "Hey," he said softly, setting down his bag. "Didn't think I'd actually come, but figured I'd check it out." He casually pulled out a bundle of mugs he made on his Cricut. Each one had their names on it in glitter vinyl. Ivory blinked. "You brought handmade drinkware and still pretended you were iffy about coming?" Reese sipped her tea and whispered, "He's trying, let him cook." Jessy tried to act normal as her heart did a somersault. "Glad you made it," she said, tucking a blanket under her arm. "I saved you the spot next to mine. It's got the fluffiest moss." Tom smiled at the ground just barely. "Cool." And just like that, the campsite was complete. 4 friends, 1 forest, and a whole night of glamping, laughter, sparkly drinks, and probably a few accidental fillings under the stars. The night had fully arrived in the Glitter Woods, and the campsite was glowing like a fairy tale. Twinkle lights were strung between trees, flickering gently like stars had come down for a sleepover. Fireflies floating lazily through the air, and the scent of pine, cinnamon, and toasted sugar wrapped around the group like a blanket. In the center of it all, a warm fire crackled in the stone pit. Jessy sat on a fuzzy mat near the flame, stirring a mug of sparkle cocoa with a heart-shaped spoon. The marshmallows in her cup glittered faintly, as if they had tiny stars trapped inside them. Avery was already 3 verses deep into a dramatic solo karaoke performance of My Heart Will Go On, using a stick as a mic and doing interpretive dance beside the fire. Reese reclined in her hammock, sipping on floral tea and reading a book titled Forest Whispers and Fillings, Ivory Pressed. And Tom sat quietly next to Jessy, holding his own mug, the one she gave him, the one that said, "Grumpiest camper, but we love him anyway," in silver vinyl. He stared into the fire like it owed him money. "You good?" Jessy asked, nudging him lightly with her paw. "Yeah," he said, after a long pause. "This is peaceful. It's nice." Which in Tom language translated to, "This is everything I've been needing, and I don't know how to talk about it without emotionally short-circuiting." Jessy smiled softly. She handed him a roasting stick with one perfect raspberry marshmallow on it. "I even brought chocolate with tiny stars in it," she said, holding up a bar wrapped in purple foil. "You can pretend not to care, but I know you're gonna love it." Tom rolled his eyes. Like, whatever, but took the chocolate with a barely hidden smirk. He roasted his marshmallow carefully, way more carefully than anyone expected. Meanwhile, Ivory had climbed onto a log and was dramatically declaring, "As your official hype fairy, I now bless this campfire with good vibes, glowing skin, and excellent emotional breakthroughs." Reese raised her teacup like it was a goblet. "To healing." "To snacks," Jessy added. "To pretending we're not all spiraling," Ivory said cheerfully. Tom took a slow sip of cocoa and whispered, "Too late." They all laughed, even him. As the fire crackled and the night grew darker, Jessy leaned back against a soft pillow and looked up at the sky. The stars above the glitter woods weren't like regular stars. They shimmered in rainbow hues, swirling and pulsing like they were dancing just for them. It felt like one of those rare moments where everything was still and perfect and safe. She glanced over at Tom again. His eyes were reflecting the firelight. He looked peaceful, but there was something else too. A softness, like maybe a part of him was finally letting go of something heavy. And as the flames flickered lower and the group began to yawn and stretch, Jessy felt it. This wasn't just a glamping trip. It was a little pocket of healing. A night wrapped in warmth, laughter, and the kind of magic that can only be found when you're surrounded by people who really see you. Even if one of them still pretends he doesn't believe in glitter. The fire had dimmed in a warm amber glow, casting soft shadows that danced lazily across the campsite. Everyone was full of cocoa and marshmallows, their bellies warm and hearts even warmer. Above them, the night sky had completely opened up, and in the glitter woods, the stars didn't just twinkle. They shimmered like glitter spilled across black velvet, swirling in pastel waves of lavender, gold, and silver. Jessy rolled out a soft star print blanket onto the moss and flopped onto her back. Paws stretched above her as she stared up in awe. "Look at that one," she whispered, pointing at a glowing cluster shaped like a cat leaping through the sky. Ivory flopped down beside her, already munching on another graham cracker. Oh my god, that one looks like a tail chasing its own butt. Reese, elegant as ever, lay back with a delicate scarf over her eyes like she was about to astral project. That one's definitely the ancient constellation of emotional avoidance, very rare and very male. Jessy snorted. Tom, who had been quietly sitting nearby, arms crossed, glanced upward like he definitely wasn't into this stargazing thing, but then he froze. His eyes twitched, his jaw relaxed slightly, and then without a word he laid down next to Jessy on the other side of the blanket. Close. Too close. Not that Jessy minded. They lay there quietly for a moment, the space between them charged with something warm and electric. Jessy didn't say anything, but her heart was fluttering in a way that felt suspiciously like hope. Tom cleared his throat. That one, he pointed upward, his voice lower than usual. Looks like a cat curled up sleeping. Jessy tilted her head. You see it? Yeah, he said. Kind of like when you nap on your craft desk. Jessy blushed under her fur. Ivory leaned over and stage whispered, Y'all better not fall in love while I'm still emotionally available and covered in crumbs. Tom groaned and covered his face with a paw. Oh my god. Reese didn't even open her eyes. Let it happen. Jessy giggled, but inside her heart was doing full-on flip-flops. They watched the sky in silence for a few more moments, long enough for a shooting star to streak across the horizon. Long enough for Jessy to wonder if Tom made that craft desk comment on purpose. The kind of silence that only exists when everything feels exactly right. And just as her eyes started to drift closed, she felt it. Tom's paw hesitant, rough around the edges, accidentally on purpose brushing against hers. Neither of them moved, and in the stars above, the constellation cat winked. The stars above were still spinning softly as the campsite began to quiet down. Reese had retreated to her hammock with her rain stick and a sleep mask that probably had its own crystals sewn inside. Ivory, after one final burst of karaoke energy, had rolled herself burrito-style into a blanket and was snoring lightly next to her snack cooler, clutching a boba tea like a stuffed animal. Jessy was still lying on the star blanket, her paw barely brushing Tom's, both of them pretending they didn't notice but very much noticing. The forest around them began to glow. Softly at first, little orbs of light floating between branches, drifting through the air like enchanted dandelions. Fairy lanterns. They flickered in pastel pinks and soft blues, each one lighting up a small piece of the woods with gentle, dreamy magic. Some dipped low over the camp, casting glowing swirls across Jessy's face and dancing in the reflection of Tom's eyes. Okay, Tom finally whispered, voice low like he was afraid to break the spell. These are kind of amazing. Jessy smiled, watching one swirl above them. They only show up when the forest feels safe. He glanced at her. So, this only happens if your heart's in the right place, she said gently. Tom looked away, but she saw the way his paw twitched like he wanted to hold hers. She didn't push, didn't need to. The silence was soft and honest. I almost didn't come, he admitted quietly, still watching the lights. Didn't think I'd fit in with all this glitter. Jessy turned her head towards him, their faces now just a whisper apart. You didn't have to fit in. You just had to show up. He blinked slowly, like that sentence hit him somewhere he wasn't expecting. "I was scared," he added. "Of the glitter?" she teased softly. He laughed once, low and real. "No, of you." Jessy's heart stuttered. "Why?" Tom looked at her, eyes full of something he couldn't name. "Because you see me, and I don't always know how to be seen." And just like that, the lanterns around them glowed brighter, like the forest itself was listening and gently exhaling with relief. Jessy reached out, her paw finding his completely this time. No hesitation, just quiet, warm, and real. "I didn't want you to be scared of me," she whispered. "I want you to rest here, to breathe here, to feel safe here." Tom swallowed hard. He didn't say anything right away, but he didn't let go either. And in that stillness, the night wrapped around them like a lullaby. Somewhere nearby, a lantern floated down and landed beside them, nestling between their paws like a blessing. The fairy lantern slowly began to drift upward, dissolving into the treetops like glowing fireflies returning to their dreams. The night air turned cooler, wrapping the campsite in a soft hush. Reese was falling asleep in her hammock, curled like a painting of peace. Ivory rolled onto her side, still whispering Kelly Clarkson in her sleep. And Jessy, with the sleepy eyes and a full heart, stood beside the glittery tent she'd set up hours earlier, puffy blanket in hand and the softest one she owned. The inside of the tent glowed faintly from a string of tiny crescent moon lights. Her sleeping pad was stacked with cozy layers, and 2 fuzzy pillows were nestled side by side. She turned toward Tom, who was still lingering just outside the ring of light, rubbing the back of his neck like he wasn't sure what to do. "You coming in?" she asked softly. He looked up at her, eyes tired and vulnerable. "Are you sure?" Jessy tilted her head, half smiling. "I save you the fluffy side. You are emotionally high maintenance after all." He chuckled quietly, but real, and followed her into the tent. Inside it was warm and perfect. The puffy blanket was like sleeping inside a toasted marshmallow, and as they both settled in, something about the closeness didn't feel awkward. It felt safe. Jessy pulled the blanket up to her chin and turned on her side to face him. "You okay?" Tom stared at the tent ceiling like it had answers. "I haven't felt this relaxed in a long time." She didn't push. She just whispered, "Good," and gently tapped her paw against his under the blanket. He paused, then turned on his side too, just enough for their eyes to meet in the soft light. "I didn't think I needed this," he murmured, "but being here with you, I don't want it to end." Jessy's heart ached in the best possible way. "Then don't let it," she said, voice barely audible. "You don't have to go back to pretending, not with me." There was silence. Not the kind that means someone is avoiding something, but the kind that means they're finally feeling it. And then, Tom reached over slowly, hesitantly, and gently brushed a piece of Jessy's fur from her forehead. His paw lingered there for a moment. No words, just a soft touch that said, "Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for letting me stay." Jessy's eyes fluttered closed, a smile playing on her lips. And Tom, usually the one who couldn't sleep, couldn't settle, couldn't trust, finally allowed himself to melt into the blanket, the quiet, and the one cat who made him feel whole. Outside, the forest hummed with peace. Inside the tent, 2 paws stayed intertwined under the blanket, and just like that, they both drifted off to sleep together. The forest was quiet in the soft, early glow of morning. Golden beams of sunlight filtered through the trees, casting stripes of warm light across the mossy ground. Birds chirped gently, fluttering between branches, and somewhere nearby a tiny waterfall babbled like it was humming a lullaby to the waking woods. Inside the tent, the air is still warm. The puffy blanket had shifted during the night, now wrapped around two cats like a protective cocoon of softness and trust. Jessy stirred first. She blinked slowly, not quite ready to wake up, but aware of the perfect stillness around her. Her body was relaxed in a way it hadn't been in ages, like every ounce of tension had melted away in her sleep. And then she realized Tom's paw was still holding hers. He was sleeping on his side, face turned towards her, breathing slow and even. His usually guarded features were soft and sleek, fur gently ruffled, expression unguarded, like the walls had come down completely in the night. Jessy didn't move. She just lay there, taking in the rare sight of him, so at peace. Then, just as she thought he might sleep a little longer, Tom shifted. His paw gripped hers a little tighter. His eyes blinked open, hazy with sleep. And then he smiled. Sleepy, crooked, real. "Morning," Jessy whispered. Tom blinked again, like the dream hadn't fully faded. "This is real, right?" Jessy nodded. "Very real." He looked at her for a long moment, and then before he could stop himself, before the walls could fly back up, before the doubt could take hold, he whispered, "I think I'm falling in love with you." The words hung there, raw and quiet and a little shaky, like a secret that had finally burst through the cracks. Jessy's breath caught, not because she was surprised, but because she felt it too. She didn't rush to respond. She just leaned closer, touched her forehead gently to his, and whispered, "I think you already did." Tom closed his eyes, like hearing that unlock something he didn't even know he was holding on to. They lay like that for a few more minutes, forehead to forehead, the forest gently waking up around them. No more pretending. No more almost. Just a sleepy, tangled truth and the warmth of two hearts finally meeting in the middle. The sun had officially climbed into the sky now, sprinkling the campsite with soft gold light and warming the dewy moss underfoot. The forest buzzed with gentle energy, birds chirping, butterflies fluttering lazily, and something that smelled suspiciously like cinnamon sugar drifted through the air. Jessy sat near the campfire pit, still wrapped in the puffy blanket like a glitter burrito, sipping warm cocoa out of her sparkle boss mug. Across the campsite, Reese was already putting together a full woodland breakfast like a mystical brunch witch. "I brought forest berry muffins, herbal jam, and this tiny waffle maker shaped like a cat face," she said calmly, as if this was standard outdoor behavior. Ivory stumbled out of her tent with her fur a total mess. One eyelash stuck to her forehead, clutching her glitter tumbler like it was an emotional support potion. "Is it too early to sing, or—" she rasped before tripping over a tree root and landing dramatically on a yoga mat. "Okay, the forest hates me, but also I love it." Jessy couldn't stop smiling. Tom emerged last, carrying a plate stacked with freshly toasted s'mores from Reese's camping stove. His flannel was wrinkled, his eyes were sleepy, and he looked happy, like he belonged here among the glitter and chaos and berry jam. He walked over, handed Jessy the plate, and sat beside her without a word. Just a soft, knowing smile. Reese poured him tea and didn't comment on the fact that he hadn't let go of Jessy's paw since sunrise. They ate breakfast slowly, laughing, teasing, and occasionally just sitting in silence listening to the forest breathe. But eventually it was time. Ivory dramatically rolled over her back. "No, I refuse. Let's all become woodland influencers and never go home." Reese nodded. "We could open a wellness retreat called Glamp and let it go." Tom looked at Jessy. "I'd go wherever you go." The words were simple, but Jessy felt them settle deep inside her like a promise. Packing up took longer than expected because Ivory kept finding emotional objects, and she wasn't ready to part with, including a pine cone she named Carl. Reese performed a farewell, smudging ritual. Tom quietly folded Jessy's blanket with more care than anyone had ever folded a blanket in history. When everything was loaded up, Jessy stood at the edge of the glamp site and looked back one last time. The forest sparkled softly behind them. It wasn't just a place anymore, it was a memory, a turning point. Tom came up beside her, gently bumping her shoulder with his. "Next time, maybe we stay longer?" Jessy nodded, eyes misty but smiling. "Next time we bring glitter hammocks." He laughed, then leaned in and pressed his forehead to hers, just like that sleepy morning. But this time, fully awake and fully sure. As they turned to leave, paws tangled and hearts steady, a single fairy lantern floated down from the trees and trailed after them, just one last shimmer of the magic they made together. And somewhere in the woods, the constellation cat above them winked again. The glamping wagon rolled slowly back into town, its glittering wheels a little muddy, its interior filled with snack wrappers, forest-scented pillows, and one slightly lopsided jar of sparkle cocoa. Jessy sat in the passenger seat this time, her chin resting on her paw, watching the world drift by through the window. She was tired, but in that soul-deep, peaceful way that only comes after something really mattered. Tom was driving. Yes, Tom, driving Jessy's glitter wagon. He hadn't even argued when she tossed him the keys and said, "Want to try being the coziest chauffeur on the planet?" He just nodded and said, "Only if I get aux." Now the cabin was filled with soft, acoustic music, the kind you play on rainy Sundays and when you're in love and trying not to panic about it. The silence between them wasn't awkward. It was comfortable, full, a kind of silence that felt like a warm hoodie you've worn 1,000 times. And as they reached her neighborhood, Jessy turned to him. "Thanks for coming." Tom didn't take his eyes off the road. "Thanks for asking." A beat passed, and then he added quietly, "And thanks for waiting for me even when I wasn't ready." Jessy reached across the seat and rested her paw on his leg. "You came when it counted." He pulled into her driveway and parked, but didn't move. Neither of them did. The moment stretched. Tom exhaled. "I don't want this to be a one-time thing." Jessy looked at him. "Me neither." And just like that, softly, without fireworks or drama, he leaned in, and he kissed her. It wasn't a movie kiss. It was better. It was real. Warm, slow, and safe. Like every glittery word unspoken had finally found its way home. And they pulled apart. Jessy smiled. Paws still tangled in his flannel. "So you believe in glitter now?" Tom smirked. "I believe in you." Jessy stepped out of the wagon and turned to face him one last time. "Come over tomorrow. I've got a new candle called Campfire Romance I want to test." He grinned. "Only if you let me bring breakfast." "Deal." As she walked back into her house, something in her chest felt lighter, brighter and braver. She wasn't just back from a glamping trip. She was back from the moment her life shifted. And Tom, he sat in the driveway for 5 whole minutes, just staring at her house, smiling to himself like he finally understood what home meant. Somewhere above them, even in the daylight, the constellation cat shimmered faintly in the sky. Because some stories don't end when the trip is over. Some stories are just beginning.